Welcome to Undercurrent, Australia's most interesting current affairs show. I'm your host, Lucy Nichol. First up on tonight's show, journalist Laura Novo finds out exactly how much interruption the planned Perth freight link will actually cause.
The Perth Freight Link has been a very controversial project since it was announced in December 2004. This road will link Road Highway to the Fremantle Port and the Swan River. It is meant to be a heavy transport solution which will ease congestion and also will make suburban roads safer. However, not everybody thinks the same. This project has been harshly criticised for being very poorly planned and a very expensive road to nowhere. In early 2016, the first road works will start to complete stage 1 and they will damage permanently these beautiful Belia wetlands. There is still no date for stage 2, so there are a lot of questions in the air about this polemic Perth Freight Link.
There's hardly anything good that can be said about the project. It's an old project or an old line on a map that lost its purpose a long time ago. Only in the last couple of weeks, the Premier says we're not interested in the rest of the Perth Freight Link, we're only interested in Row 8. That sets up a major conflict with the federal government that provided $925 million on the basis of the entire project, which goes hand in hand with the sale of Fremantle Port, the introduction of a toll road, all of these strange privatisations. There's no doubt that the project is in trouble and it's starting to unravel, it's starting to fray, and you're seeing all of these crazy sort of threads come loose that I don't think the state government or the federal government can explain.
What we would have is just an extremely expensive, tiny portion of road. It's really just pork barreling for one of the electorates that has problems with truck traffic, right? So you have an electorate called Riverton, and it has severe problems with truck congestion, and those people have been told, and I believe falsely, that their truck traffic is going to be resolved by this little piece of road.
The school of thought that I come from is that building freeways won't simply reduce congestion. Basically, the one argument put forward from the Liberal government and also from some local councils is that to take 2,000 trucks off Leach Highway and putting them onto Row 8 will reduce congestion. What I say that is taking 2,000 trucks per day off Leach Highway will just create room for 2,000 more trucks on Leach Highway.
The projected truck traffic only comprises 8% of the total traffic. 92% will be general passenger traffic. You cannot have a free-flowing road with the efficiencies that the Perth Freight Link is supposed to deliver if you have the 92% of passenger traffic clogging up that road, which inevitably happens. We see that even on our freeway currently. There's no road big enough to deal with the traffic once you create it and you give that opportunity to people to use it to get where they're going. So if you want a free-flowing road, it will have to be done on the basis of a general toll on all passengers, and it will be then, the first toll road in Western Australia. That has not been well explained or understood in the general public.
The establishment of a toll road system is in the Parliament, and we understand that the Nationals have no interest in passing that, and the Nationals are critical to the numbers to passing that bill. So I don't think we're going to have a toll road, but you never know, because this government can, make strange decisions and strange trade-offs.
I call on the state government to scrap it for the time being and to give serious consideration to the City of Coburn's proposal to get this area down at Wattleup and Hope Valley pushed into service. It was taken away from people's homes back in 2000. All the homes, all the people were removed for an industrial area. That area is still sitting there. It was a state government plan. It's gone nowhere. That is the ideal solution to make sure that we can put the freight containers down there, to go on rail, to go up to Fremantle Port. Not a road that cuts through this wetland, that cuts through our city and is only half-baked. You can't have a half-baked road.
I can promise you that stage one won't be happening without a fight, particularly from Rethink the Link and the many groups that are associated with it. It's important to know that our numbers and our profile is growing and strengthening by the day. We do not see the point in building stage one unless there is a plan in sight, which is pretty much the main reason that I've become part of Rethink the Link. There has never been a plan to actually connect a freeway with a port.
There's a long-term strategy here that needs to be considered over the whole of this area, the South Metropolitan region. Jandakot Airport, for example, has lost a huge amount of bushland recently. This proposal will take another huge swathe of bushland out from our community. Where do the birds go? Where do the creatures go? They're destined for extinction if we don't make sure that we keep appropriate environmental corridors. And this is cutting right through, this proposed Row 8 is cutting right the way through a major bird migration route as well, not including all of the creatures that live here anyway. We've got creatures that come from right away across the world, and that will be impacted upon by this proposed Row 8.
Well, the Beeliar wetlands are one of the few remaining wetlands on the Swan coastal plain. We've lost more than 80%. And that 80% number comes from the last time it was adequately measured, I think in the 70s. So it is dramatically more than 80% of our wetlands are gone. In the South Metropolitan region, it is one of the few places left that have original native vegetation. It is a registered Aboriginal site, one of the most important Aboriginal sites in the metropolitan area that is remaining.
It is one of the most beautiful parts of the Perth metro area. Everyone in South Metro knows that. I would encourage anyone from north of the river to take the time in the next month or so to come down. It's one of those places where you can stand and look out across a wetland and feel like you are 100 kilometres from the city. And there are so few of these areas left. The environmental assessment that was done in 2006 by the then EPA was very clear in saying there's no way that you can put a road through those wetlands and for that to be environmentally acceptable. We've got to the point now where environmental approvals are given on the basis of offsets. So the environmental assessment is essentially, you're going to ruin this place, but it's okay because we'll take some equivalent habitat somewhere else and we'll protect that forever. That's not how we should approach our environmental values.
They spent millions of dollars. I think it was more than $11 million was spent on an environmental impact assessment, which was so tightly controlled, it didn't really get the genuine information that it sought. It should have been looking for other solutions instead of, this very narrow view. And the community, through the Environmental Defender's Office and the community group, have taken the government to court over the decision. So we will find out in the days to come whether they have adequately considered the environmental impact. And of course, there's evidence that they haven't.
You really need to read between the lines, and sometimes it's about putting two and two together. This whole concept came from Tony Abbott's prime ministership. It was to give $1 billion to the state of Western Australia to build a freeway. Didn't matter how, as long as it got built. Didn't matter where, as long as it got built. So we aren't looking about transporting freight from the Port of Fremantle to other transport nodes, such as Kewdale to Mouchet, and for instance. It is just about building a road and spending a lot of money in the process, public money.
Laura Noble reporting for Undercurrent.
This week has been extraordinarily exciting for feminists everywhere, with the Melbourne Cup horse race being won for the very first time by a female jockey. Unfortunately, the reality of the racing industry doesn't always look as rosy as the flamboyantly dressed punters. Jack Middleton investigates.
I'm Jack Middleton, and as I'm sure you know, the Melbourne Cup has come around again, the annual horse racing event that attracts more than 94,000 people to celebrate the usual festivities of dressing up in fancy clothes and having access to more alcohol than you could possibly humanly consume. But it really is the race that stops the nation. It distracts the nation with celebrity and gambling and fashion, and from the actual sickening truth. Most of the horses will experience bleeding in the lungs and in the windpipe. All of them will be thrashed and whipped by the tiny little person on their back. The stats that show that every 3 days a horse will die on a racetrack in Australia. But hey, let's focus on the fashion and the marquees and the fancy money-driven gambling system. So Inspector Cooper said that the 94,000 strong crowd had been well behaved. And he's talking about the people there, not the horses. The people had been well behaved. The Melbourne Cup does claim lives. During the event in 2014, 2 lives were lost, the lives of Admiracti and Araldo, the horses by those names. Admiracti died of a heart attack shortly after the race. A part of me suspects it was connected. And Araldo died of a bullet in the brain because he broke his leg when he got scared in those little things that they put the horses in before they set them off to run.
Yes, oh, that's good. That feels good. Very strong.
Sorry, Thunder. I gotta put you down.
How's your leg, huh? How's your leg? You ready to race?
So I found this article about the jockey that rides on Admiracti, Zach Perton. He believes the horse spared him from death because he died after the race and not during the race, so he'd get trampled by like 22 other horses. So I'm sort of baffled at this journalist's point of view that they've taken about how they see the horse as being a hero for dying at a time that was convenient for the jockey. And the mainstream media has very little time to focus on the animal welfare, especially when it gets distracted by videos like this. Okay, so it turns out a drunken woman they're actually pushing over a police officer, and now she's getting arrested by 2 other police officers. And this video has claimed most of the attention around the entire Melbourne Cup. It's just a little strange, the way that humans prioritise things. And I'm sure these people, by the 94,000 other patrons, are sort of seen as outsiders, and they're sort of seen as like, what are you thinking like that for? Why have you got such crazy independent thoughts?
Australians will spend about $455.5 million on this year's Melbourne Cup Carnival. About $170 million on booze and food, about the same on accommodation and travel, about $70 million on bets, and about $53 million on hats and frocks. All this money spent just on large animals going round in circles.
And now we sort of get serious a bit. It's wastage. And it's from the website horseracingkills.com, the Coalition for the Protection of Racehorses. This horse is struck in the head in excess of 60 times to move it out the way of the kill box, where another horse is already waiting to be killed. It is estimated that over 10,000 to 25,000 horses each year will be discarded. So long as humans care more about money, intangible money, than they do the actual care and health of horses, then the Melbourne Cup will always go ahead. I guess all we can hope that is that more people will become aware of the treatment and what actually goes on in this industry, and then make a movement towards making horse racing in the Melbourne Cup a safer and more humane environment for these animals. So I guess be careful where you gamble your money. Maybe gamble it on balls going around a vat than a horse being forced to run around a track with a tiny human whipping it on its back. So make a choice about how you see these events. Don't just be distracted by what you see on mainstream media and what Facebook tells you. I'm Jack Middleton, reporting for Undercurrent.
Now it's time for a quick break to hear from our sponsors. Stay with us and we'll be back with the fluffiest current affairs story ever. When I said the next story was a fluffy one, I meant it. This week, our reporter Weddy went to the Scruffs Dog Show. So get ready for a lot of fluff.
Today we are in Scruffs Dog Show, which held for the first time in Fremantle. Let's know more about this event, what it aims for. Join us for today. Okay, tell us about the event today.
Today is just for fun, really, and to celebrate dogs and how important they are in our life. And basically, I've got a rescue dog that I've had for 8 months, and it's to raise money and awareness for these dogs because they get really badly treated, and often when they're rescued they've got broken legs and broken hocks. So we're shaking a tin for Greyhound Adoptions WA, and we just want to have a fun day.
Hi, I'm Tony, Greyhound Adoptions WA, and these people around me with the greyhounds are all part of our great greyhound mob.
The Lonely Planet publish a guide each year of the 10 best places to visit in the whole world for 2016, and in this case Fremantle came in at number 7, which was pretty amazing. So so look, we're really proud sitting alongside cities like Rome and Mumbai and others, and having little old Freo as part of that is a big honour, but it's something we're really proud of.
We've got a competition for like the scruffiest dog, because it's called Scruffs. Biggest dog, smallest dog, cutest dog, best dressed dog, best Halloween, best hairdo, cutest puppy, and the oldest dog.
This is the first event for dogs in Fremantle. How the idea came?
The idea is in England there is a dog show called Scruffs, which is very upmarket and very exclusive, and so this is just making a bit of fun of. This is called Scruffs, which is the other end of the spectrum. So.
Travel so far, old enough to know who you are, wise enough to carry the scars.
Tell us about your dog and your participation today.
So this is Missy. She's about 4 or 5 years old, I'm not too sure, but she's around that age. She's a good girl. She wanted to be a pumpkin today. Oh, a hat's fallen off, hang on.
My name is Mel Proshak, and this is my miniature dachshund Gertie. She entered the cutest dog today, or the cutest puppy I should say, so it was under 12 months. She's 8 months old.
I saw everything. I laughed at all of your jokes. My love, you didn't need to coax. But oh, Maggie, I couldn't have tried anymore. You lured me away from home.
My name's Katya. This is Myrtle and Wrigley. She was the one that won the smallest dog today. I'll tell you about that in a minute. And this is her mum, Elsie. And Elsie's just happy for the day to be almost over. But no, she was the smallest adult dog, 4.6 kilograms, and I think perhaps mostly because of the shortest legs.
How old is she?
Myrtle is 14 months old, so she's fully grown, and quite an athletic little girl. This one runs 5 kilometres 4 times a week with me, and I think that surprises most people. They look at these dogs and they think that they sleep all day, but they let you know very quickly. Give them a job or they'll find one for themselves.
What made you come here today and participate in this event?
The Dachshund race. The idea of seeing a group of sausage dogs all running together just sounded like the most hilarious thing that you could imagine. And then of course they had the dressing up competition, and I think people who love dogs, we all tend to go a little bit overboard, but you know, they're members of our family and they give back far more than we give them.
Are you planning to participate in each event whenever there is?
Well, we did. We went in the smallest dog, we went in the dress up, so they had their little party dresses on and they walked around as party princesses. We didn't think going in scruffiest dog was a good call. And we also gave oldest dog a miss. But they did do the race. Elsie got 3/4 of the way down and decided to leave the course and go off and explore something else. So it wasn't terribly successful. But we did manage to take home one of the prizes, and it's really quite lovely. It's a nice sort of woolen mat that they can both sleep on, because there's no way I can separate them. and some toys and some treats, and I imagine the toys will last all of 15 minutes.
This weekend, the Swan Festival of Lights is on at the Supreme Court Gardens. Laura Novo went and found out exactly what you can expect from attending this year's Swan Festival of Lights.
We are at the Supreme Court Gardens here at the heart of Perth, where one of our most beautiful festivals is going to infuse our city with colours, light and flavours. From the 6th of November for 3 days. I am talking about the Swan Festival of Lights. This is the 8th edition and we are celebrating Deepavali. What does this festival mean in the Indian tradition?
The festival Deepavali, which is like the biggest festival of India, is like Christmas in the West. So Deepavali is basically, it's about light. Light is a universal theme and it's there in all religion. So it is the light conquering the darkness within, so giving that enlightenment. So that is Deepavali.
And how do you achieve this? How do you conquer that darkness, that inner darkness with light? How do you do it? Through what?
Normally the festival is celebrated all over India and different part of the world where the Indians live. As a tradition, what they do is that they get up very early in the morning and then they will have an oil bath kind of a thing, and then after that they go and do fireworks. And then after that they will share all the sweets which every family, mothers and grandmas make. They'll take to the other neighbors and share with them and celebrate Deepavali. And that's how it's celebrated. Deepavali is celebrated all over India in that way, in the fashion.
Firstly, we'll be showcasing the best of Indian culture. So all the different classical styles this year, and we're showcasing a production, Ramayana. It's an Indian epic as well.
Yeah, lots of multicultural groups are also, as usual, they are coming to be with us. And it's become a common normal for them now to be part of the festival. And that's really happy. It's very heartwarming for us that they want to work with us. And of course, the styles that we teach and we perform are Bharatanatyam, Odissi and Kathak, which comes from Tamil Nadu, northeast of India and Orissa, as well as Uttar Pradesh, North India, near Delhi.
What we are trying to achieve is share this great culture and showcase and share with the local community. And Australia being the biggest multicultural country in the world, one of the biggest. So we like to welcome all the people from all religions and from all over the world who lives here to come and celebrate this festival together with us.
What is the most special treat that you are going to serve us today?
There's nothing very special about any particular food, but sweets and chaat is the highlight of this time.
When will we be seeing you on stage?
Well, we'll be performing tonight, the 6th,
7th tomorrow, as well as the 8th.
Yeah,
all 3 days.
And performances start from 6:15. We'll be having a grand procession, welcoming the Gujarati community, and then showcasing all the different classical forms.
Yes, and also this year we've invited the people from the community to come and recite with us the Sanskrit verses from the Vedas. And that's just to promote peace and harmony in the world.
Can you tell me what the workshop will be about?
Yeah, we've got cooking demos. We've got a Garba workshop, which is a dance workshop. That's on a Saturday. And on the Sunday at 5 o'clock, we've got a Bhangra workshop. That's another dance workshop.
Art workshops?
Yeah, we've got art workshops.
Batik workshop.
We've got the artibrellas that are on that the kids can come and enjoy. We've got camel rides. What else?
It's really, truly a family atmosphere, you know.
We've got a music workshop happening at about 5 o'clock.
Laura Novo reporting for Undercurrent.
Fine wine and food go extraordinarily well together, but should they be able to be sold together in our Australian supermarkets? Laura Novo finds out what sober people have to say on the matter.
Have you heard about the supermarket Aldi?
No, I haven't.
Yes, I have.
Not really.
Yes, I do, most definitely.
Yeah, I grew up in the UK, so they've got it over there.
No, I've just heard of it from you.
Yes, we are from Germany and Aldi's coming from there.
No.
Yep.
I've never heard of it before.
I've heard of it before. I think it's not in Perth, I don't think, yet.
No, it's not yet, but it's going to land in Perth in mid-2016, and they have lodged an application to the Department of Racing and Gaming and Liquor to sell alcohol in stores. And some people think that this could attract children to drinking. Do you think that that is true?
I don't think it is true, because don't you need to show ID if you're buying alcohol?
No. No, not really.
Not really, because you still have to be 18 to purchase it, so it wouldn't be encouraging at all.
I don't think it'll encourage children to drinking, because most children in supermarkets go with their parents anyway, so it's down to the parents as far as I'm concerned. It's nothing to do with the children, it's to do with the parents.
I don't think it's true, because in our society today we're already experienced, like we see alcohol everywhere on TV, so I think it may slightly affect, but I don't think it'll have much of an impact at all.
Children see drink anyway. They see their parents drinking. Here in Australia, more than England, you see a lot of children in pubs or into the public houses. You don't see that so much in England. So, it just depends really.
Do you think that there is no difference between being able to pick up your bottle of wine with your children in the supermarket or moving a few meters away from the checkout after doing your grocery shopping and get your beverages there?
I don't think I'd buy alcohol in front of my children. Well, if it was just wine or something, but I don't think there's much of a difference at all, because some supermarkets have the bottle shop attached to it anyway.
Well, it's no different, because they would still take their children in with them to get the alcohol, because they wouldn't want to leave their children alone, and if anything, it makes it more convenient.
I don't think it really makes a difference. Like, if you teach your children about like drinking and things, it wouldn't really be an issue.
I don't think it does, no.
I honestly think it's up to the parents to teach their children about alcohol. Like, I grew up in a family going into liquor stores with my parents when they buy alcohol, and I've learned that how to drink responsibly and like that, and I don't think having it in a store as opposed to next to it would have that much of a difference.
Do you think that being able to buy alcohol in the supermarket, not having to go to a second shop, could it make it any easier for people, more convenient?
Yeah, it'd be much easier to get it, because it's better access, I guess. They wouldn't have to go from store to store.
It'd be a lot quicker and way more convenient.
It will make it easier in a way, but I mean, like in our local supermarket and stuff, there's a liquor place like right next door, so I wouldn't say it's that much harder.
When I walk out of the grocery shop, alcohol's next door, so you're going to go in there and do it all over again at the checkout, so probably just makes it easier.
Laura Novo reporting for Undercurrent.
I hope you've enjoyed this week's show. I'm Lucy Nicol, and I will see you next week, same time, same place, on Australia's most interesting current affairs program, Undercurrent.